As I was getting ready for this morning, there was one idea that just kept on coming back to me, and so I have a feeling like that it's something the Lord wants you to hear today. It's in Exodus chapter 16, and I'll be reading it if you want to just listen. But I've been on the road for a long time, obviously, and I've been able to compare notes sometimes with some other people that have had some interesting experiences on the road. One time I asked this trucker, his name's Mike Theroff, what was one of the craziest things that's ever happened to him on the road. And he said, well, there was this time over around Evansville, Indiana, that across the CB radio comes this distressed call from a trucker. And he's trying to warn all the other truckers that somebody better sit up and pay attention and listen here, because there's a whole herd of pink elephants that are making their way across the highway, and somebody's going to get hurt if they come this way and don't pay heed. And when those truckers got up to that point in the highway, sure enough, he had stopped his rig right in the lane of the highway and was waiting for a whole herd of pink elephants to make their way across, I think it was US 41, before he'd fire things up again and continue on his way. I Googled for the pink elephant after that, because I don't have any life and I have time to just Google for pink elephants and stuff like that. So I have a fair degree of certainty that the story that I heard is true, because there is indeed a pink elephant somewhere along US 41 south of whatever that route is that's running east and west there, the interstate route through Evansville. And apparently that guy had seen this concrete pink elephant holding a little martini glass, and in his tiredness, that pink elephant had morphed into a herd of elephants, and now was so real to him that it was making its way across the highway and had stopped him dead in his tracks. I got so tired one time. Nobody will want to ride with me after this. I got so tired one time on the road when I was about your age. I had worked here at God's Bible School in the accounting office, and then I came back for a little special project they wanted me to do. My wife wasn't with me. I stayed up all hours of the night here working on that project over here in the bookkeeping office, and then I headed out of here really late on a Saturday night and headed for Michigan. And I was in no shape to be on the road. By the time I got to Dayton, I was already wiped out. That's only an hour up the road. By the time I got to Michigan, I was seeing these little earthworm-shaped things, purple, going in front of my eyes. And then, since my credibility is half blown already now, I'll just go ahead and blow it the rest of the way. I'm driving forward on the interstate, and I see not a bear, but just the bear's paw sideways in the road, taking up 2 lanes of the interstate. And don't ask me any rational questions about what I did, because you couldn't be rational. I was tired. I was beyond tired. And so I just kept driving towards it. And fortunately, it moved before I got to it. And it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had full intentions, I think, at that point to attend church in Lansing, Michigan that morning. I stopped in at a gas station, not intending to buy anything. It's the only time on the road that somebody at a gas station actually volunteered, kind of urgently, some coffee to me, free of charge, please, because I looked so wiped out. Now, was that herd of pink elephants real? No. Was the bear's paw real? No. You know that. Somewhere along the line, I should have pulled off the road. Somewhere along the line, that trucker should have pulled off the road. But I kept pushing. He kept pushing. And when you do that spiritually, because I'm convinced the same thing happens to us spiritually. And I think the reason why I couldn't get away from this is because I think I have a pretty good sense where we are in this semester right now. For staff, faculty, and students alike, we're at the place that if we aren't careful about tending to our relationship with Christ, we're going to lose perspective. Our judgment is going to falter. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose our grip on God and spiritual realities. And at that point, that's where Satan has this perfect storm to let three things happen. We invent things that aren't real, just like that trucker did, just like I did. And then they become insurmountable until we feel like there's just no way through. And there may be somebody here this morning that's right there. And then, out of that, there's this negative atmosphere in which we make far-reaching decisions that have long-term consequences. It even affects other people's lives, just like that trucker did. The one scripture that I felt like that the Lord wanted me to share with you today is this one in Exodus 16. And I'm just letting a lot of air out of the balloon. Frankly, I don't care. I wanted to get this across to you this morning. The Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you. People shall go out and gather a certain quota every day that I may test them, whether they will walk in my law or not. In the morning the dew lay all around the camp, and when the layer of dew lifted, there on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as frost on the ground. So when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, 'What is it?' For they didn't know what it was. And Moses said to them, 'This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. This is the thing,' in verse 16, 'which the Lord has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's need.' Then the children of Israel did so and gathered, some more, some less." And you probably know the story well enough to remember that Moses said, "Let no one leave any of it until morning." And right here in the story, I want to say, what a hard-headed bunch. What a kind of a dull group of people here, because in verse 20 it says, "Notwithstanding, they didn't heed Moses, but some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank." And I'm with my friend over here this morning that testified, when I read some of these Old Testament stories and even New Testament stories, I want to pass a little judgment. I want to say, how in the world? I mean, here's a God who's well able to meet their needs. They know bread's on the way the next day. They know bread's available the next day. And yet, they try to store up yesterday's bread rather than to trust God for fresh blessings and new bread and new strength for another day. You and I, if we're honest, most of us at least, I think, have a tendency when things get busy and a little overwhelming to do some wrong prioritization in our life. And we have a tendency, if we don't watch it, to live on yesterday's bread. And I just have a simple reminder to you this morning. You can't you can't walk long enough with God to have learned how to walk without him. You need him. You need him today. And in this chapel, I think he just wants to push the reset button in your life and have you push the reset button to say, Lord, the commitments I made the first of the semester, the things that brought me to this place, are the things I'm still committed to, and not just the things. I'm committed to relationship with Jesus Christ. There may be somebody in the quietness of your heart this morning that needs to say, Lord, I've been pushing past the table of grace. I've deprioritized time with God. Help me to turn that around. That even in the busyness of the routine, that I don't let that trump relationship.
We're glad you joined us. God's Bible School and College prepares students for lives of ministry wherever God calls them. This content is possible because of the generous support of friends like you. To support GBSC, visit giving.gbs.edu. Thank you.